I think we should be all set here. Welcome to the Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Carlito Santiago. And today, we're going to be talking about what went down on Friday Night SmackDown. Before anything, if you guys can do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, comment down below, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a stream, I'd really appreciate that. This was a pre-taped episode, of course, the final SmackDown of 2025. So, Joe Hendry took on The Miz, Ilya Dragunov, and Carmelo Hayes in a U.S. title match, Flair and a bunch more, basically. We kicked things off. We opened with the usual recap of last week's show before we saw Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis speaking backstage. Aldis reminded Rhodes he would be stripped of the title if he put his finger on McIntyre. The Miz was shown talking to Aldis about Hendry before we went to the ring to see him preparing for his concert with a couple of WWE superstars dressed in costumes. Akira Tozawa was an elf on the turnbuckle. So, of course, we had Joe Hendry and The Miz in a goofy, Christmas corny fucking 34th Miracle Street fight. The stipulation was always designed to get a laugh out of the crowd and provide some entertainment. So you have to go into it knowing what to expect. If you expect a 5-star technical clinic, you will be disappointed. If you expect some jokes, spots, and Otis in a Santa suit, you'll enjoy it. Now, both men knew the assignment and made each other look good, but the A-lister came up short against the newcomer in the end. This one was one of those segments that was designed to appeal to the younger fans. C+ for this. Now, a lot of people would wonder, is that Adam Rose and the Bunny in the ring? Or Adam Rose Bunny in the ring? Well, R-Truth, of course, did a play on the whole Christmas, Easter fucking shit. So, yeah. We move on to Lash Legend versus Charlotte Flair. The women's tag team feud with Bliss, Flair, with everybody involved. We basically got the Queen and the bougie bully going at it. Legend is one of the few people who has a size and power advantage over Flair. So the former world champion looked like an underdog for once, even if she had a lot more experience. For the first half and through the commercial break, Lash Legend had the match firmly in hand, but the Queen began to make a comeback and got the crowd behind her as she dished out some signature Flair chops. Bliss and Jax ended up fighting at ringside, which allowed Flair to pin Legend with a sunset flip style pin. This was a solid match and probably the best for Legend on the main roster to date. Flair allowed her to control most of the action, and it helped showcase the newcomer on the blue brand. So Flair picks up a win with Lash Legend showing off. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega had a promo video directed at Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Yeah, we're still getting over that. But, hey, I mean, for things that are fun in this regards of the, we started off the show with Christmas. Get the corny goofiness out the way, gets to some real wrestling. I sort of like that. Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov stole the show. Honestly, give this an A+. The U.S. title match took center stage as Dragunov defended the title against Hayes in a rematch from their bout on December 5th. Both men were upset that Tommaso Ciampa affected the outcome, so they wanted a fair fight this week. Just like their previous encounters, both men were clearly looking to prove they were amongst the best in the WWE on the roster today. Even though they are friendly backstage, neither man held back and made this a hard-fought contest right away. The Mad Dragon seemed to have control for a bit, more in the first half. But Hayes began making headway after the break. He countered the H-bomb with a jumping kick, and of course hit a springboard DDT as he began building momentum. The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome," as they went into the second break. We've talked about this with all these open challenges, but Dragunov has cemented himself as one of the most reliable performers. Hayes is right there with him. This is an outstanding match that had just as much physicality as the last encounter. But this time, they benefited from having a clean finish. The champion put up a good fight, but Melo didn't miss this time. He nailed his finisher to get the pin and the win, the U.S. title. Dragunov even made it a little bit better by showing respect and putting, of course, the title around his waist. The results of this bout was spoiled due to the show being taped last week, but the match was no less exciting as the results of it. So grade an A. It should be an A+, but because it was leaked. Trick and Rhodes had a brief encounter in Nick Aldis' office. Hayes and Williams can now both say they have defeated Dragunov for titles, which is true. They can. That's great. Carmelo Hayes is now the U.S. champion. I love it. I knew he was going to be champion someday. Like, me and my cousin are probably excited that happened. Very excited. The Green Regime, and of course, which is right now at this point, Chelsea Green and Alba Fire took on Julia and Kiana James. Kind of a letdown here because we don't know who's what. We got an interesting women's tag match this week with Julia and James taking on Green and Fire. What made it interesting is both teams are heels right now, so there was no babyface team for this crowd to cheer for by default. Even though they operate as villains, Green's popularity led to her and Fire getting more cheers than their opponents. We get this match. We knew this match wouldn't last long since we still had a segment with Rhodes and McIntyre left on the show, so it was no surprise to see them jump right into the action instead of easing into it. See, James looked good against Green and Fire in the opening minutes. She has always been a great athlete, though, whose booking did not line up with her skills. In fact, she may have outshined Julia in this match a bit, but that was mostly because she spent most of the time in the ring. When you consider that they didn't have a lot of time, this ended up being a pretty decent match. They kept the pace quick while still managing to throw in some taunts and submissions. Julia ended up getting the pin on the U.S. champion, which will likely lead to another rematch in the near future. So Julia getting... Okay. There's a lot. I mean, you know how I've discussed this. I've gotten pretty fucking mad, like, about heels versus heels, and they never fucking work. And they still, to this day, do not fucking work. But whatever. We get to our final segment, of course, of the evening, before you get to the final word, of course. This week's show ended with a segment involving McIntyre and Rhodes. If McIntyre apologized to the ref he attacked and paid a fine, he would get to choose the time and stipulation for his title match against Rhodes. I thought it was just he gets his title match as long as he apologizes to the referee and pays the fine, and Rhodes can't put a finger on him. I didn't know he gets to pick the stipulation and when. That's fucking weird. Okay. So McIntyre issued a half-hearted apology to the ref he kicked. But then he insulted him by saying he wasn't good enough to be a wrestler, and that is why he became a referee. Rhodes was goaded into coming to the ring, and McIntyre dared him to take a shot and cost him the WWE title. The show ended with McIntyre hitting a Claymore before picking up the WWE title and posing with it. See, also, McIntyre forgot to mention, you motherfuckers, that McIntyre issued a 3 stages of hell for a time in Berlin. Now, I don't know when they're going to Berlin, but at Berlin, I forget when they're going to Berlin, but I do know that a 3 stages of hell means three stipulations, like a 2 out of 3 falls with stipulations in each one. So this segment went as expected, but not in a bad way. McIntyre did a great job playing the jerk, who was trying to get under his opponent's skin. Rated a B. The final word, SmackDown closes out 2025 with a few forgettable matches and one show-stealing performance everyone should see. Once again, Dragunov stole the show with Carmelo Hayes. This time, he had Carmelo Hayes as dance partner. And of course, both of them, they never skipped a beat. The Mad Dragons bout has become the best thing on the Blue brand every week. Hayes winning the title was a nice good feel moment to close out 2025. But what does this mean for the former champion remains to be seen. The final segment did a good job setting up Rhodes and McIntyre's upcoming showdown for the title, and the fact that we get it on TV instead of a PLE was more surprising revelation. So next week, SmackDown moves back to 3 hours, so let's hope WWE has some surprises in store. Graded a B, and for the sake of arguing, let's also, I'm seeing something here now, breaking news for me. Wow, okay, Michigan has hired, what was his name? Kyle Whittingham. That's interesting. I do hope SmackDown is able to find their groove back in the 3 hours and fill in more time. You know, more people get to be showcased here and do more. We know next week we're going to see Damian Priest and Ilya Damian Priest and Aleister Black in an ambulance match. So maybe Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre in Berlin have their 3 stages of hell. Interesting. Well, that was SmackDown. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Pretty good, honestly. If there's anything to go check out, I would say check out this. Also, go listen to what McIntyre said. But pretty much everything here was a miss. It was a miss. You could have skipped this episode of SmackDown, and it wouldn't have mattered. But this is the final SmackDown to close out 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed all the SmackDown summaries. You can find them all on the playlist, of course, set up from the start of January. You can see it from the start of January. Not the complete start of January, but you know. I wanted to start January 6th, but it's okay. You guys can go check them out for yourselves. I will be back next week for the Raw before, of course, New Year's Eve. So I will see you guys on Tuesday, and I will see you guys next Saturday. Peace, and happy holidays, everyone.